represent South African breweries in Tanzania.
So I'm going to speak a little bit about brief history and the current positioning. Right now, well, not right now, but it's the fourth largest brewery in the world, volume-wise, and they produce 48 million hectoliters in an annual year. And they operate 21 markets throughout Asia, Africa, and Central Europe. They are the largest beer brewery in Africa, producing over half of the beer that they consume. And SAB is also South Africa's leading distributor. Some of their competitors are Guinness and Heineken. And in 1997, beer sales were 1.8 billion in total sales and 46% total value of all the alcoholic beverages sold in South Africa. So their mission, what they stated, was to formulate a strategy of operational excellence, putting affordable beer within arm's reach of all consumers with efficient beer production and distribution. So they've mentioned it that it's very important to them for them to be able to quickly and efficiently get their product to their consumers. And so they've definitely established a way to improve that process. And we'll talk about that. Current strategies of product and distribution, means of delivery and satisfaction. So like previously stated from their mission statement, it's important to them to deliver their products efficiently and quickly. And they've been able to they've established a distribution system that is very efficient, that it drove its delivery cycle down to 7 days, which was much faster than its domestic competitors. And it also reinforced the importance of the quality of their product and their freshness. They were able to deliver them not only quickly, but it was fresh and that so that their consumers would be pleased and happy. They also invested aggressively in facilities, and they deployed the best technology throughout the breweries to better their beer production and their packaging processes. So they invested a lot into getting better technology to improve those processes. For distribution, most of them, the SAB normally packages their beers at the breweries, and then they would transport them to the trucks to the certain locations of the retailers. So they have traditional retailers, which are the restaurants, the hotels, like nightclubs and their bars. And then the informal retailers were the Sheevens. And the Sheevens were they were unlicensed outlets serving alcoholic beverages. And at this time, it was because of the prohibition laws. And these Sheevens were a major source of distribution for their beers in South Africa, because many people would go there. For the marketing mix, for price, they had low-income consumers which usually purchase the low price, also known as their mainstream beer. And then the higher-income consumers, who were the ones who didn't really worry about, weren't really price sensitive, they would purchase the more premium beers. The low-priced mainstream beers, although it dominated the market, usually the higher-priced premium beers were still important because they were. Although the market segment was a small percentage, their annual growth was large. It was said that the premium beer was no more than 5% of the market segment, but their annual growth was 35%. So it did produce a lot more. For promotion, they did branded point-of-sales marketing materials such as glasses, posters, and light fixtures. They also did advertisements with sports and entertainment sponsorships. For one of the brands, Safari Lager, they launched a marketing strategy to reposition the brand and as a Tanzanian product that Tanzanians can take pride in. So that was something that they changed into. And they also, for the Safari Lager, they sponsored the country's main soccer league. So that was a way to get them to be known. For the second brand, Kilimanjaro Lager, something like that. They sponsored many entertainment events around the country, and it allowed them to become the second biggest brand in the market. And both of these brands, they accounted for 7% of beer sales and over half of the overall market. For typical consumer behaviors, the main target segment was basically people who were over the age who could drink alcohol, and also those who enjoyed drinking alcohol. And because those were actually very social. So as we do the Maslow hierarchy of social individuals, the social needs that they needed to fulfill. And through this, the Shebans were very popular because it said they were served as social centers for the community. So after work, people would go and have a beer, they would socialize with their friends and meet people, and so that was a big part of it. But for post-purchase classification, consumers consumed and disposed of the product, and the price, it's not a normal factor that would create dissatisfaction because it wasn't very involved in that. And the repeat customers were really happy, and that was really, I guess, because the company grew. So most customers were happy. And it was a simple product. So yeah, hand over to Kyle.
So for the market analysis, one of the strengths of South African breweries is their sophisticated distribution system and their efficient brewers. This has allowed them to cut down the time it takes to make beer, and it was said that for better beer, you need fresher beer, and since they're able to get it to the market faster, they're able to get the customers better tasting beer than the domestic counterparts, because instead of taking 14 days, they took 17 days to get to market. They're a reliable brand with brand loyalty. Because there were sanctions against South Africa in the 80s, all foreign beer makers left the market. So until the 90s came along, South African beer was the only people in town to sell beer. So by then they had about a 90% market share. And since then, people haven't really been able to take over it because they have such good brand loyalty. One weakness that they do have, though, is they don't have a large marketing budget. They believe in efficiency, so they spend their money on better brewing techniques, training, stuff like that. So their marketing is 5%, which is lower than their competition from foreign beer makers. And they're not aggressive in their marketing compared to people like Guinness, Heineken, who are more aggressive because of the European market they come from. One of the opportunities they have is expand their product line. They currently have alcoholic fruit flavored drink that achieved 4 million unit sales and 10% market share when it came out. And it was a fast growing market for them, and if they expand that into different regions, we feel they could probably do something with that. And become a distributing partner for more companies. They're currently distributing for Heineken and Coca-Cola because those two firms felt it was in their best interest to team up with them because they couldn't compete because how good South African Breweries distribution center is. They get to everybody faster than anyone else, and these companies know it. So instead of building their own facilities, it felt it'd be cheaper for them to partner with South African breweries. Threats is the growing amount of competition in fast developing countries such as Tanzania. Companies like Eastern African Breweries is backed by Guinness, and because they're backed by Guinness, they're more aggressive in their marketing, and they spend 10% on marketing, so they potentially could take away market share from these companies. Another threat is the consolidation of the beer industry. Companies are always merging now, so these companies have bigger budgets. They can go into different places that South African Breweries is in and just take over with their bigger budgets. And for strategic analysis, Tanzania Breweries, which is 50% owned by the Tanzanian government and 50% by South African breweries, they're stars currently because Tanzania is a fast-growing market. Since about 1994, they've been growing at about 28% a year. Right currently, they have since 1998, they had an 80% market share. And because of that, they have a high share in a fast-growing market, so they are a star. For the PLC, the life cycle, we believe, in Tanzania began in 1994 because that's when South African Breweries first took over the company. and that's when they first started the turnaround and reintroducing the beer to the Tanzanian market. And the growth stage also began at this point, where they went from a 25% market share in 1994 to over 80% in 1998. It's hard to tell if they have reached maturity. They have lost a little market share to East African breweries in the country, but they also seem to still be growing in the market.
Okay, alright. I'm going to talk about the following. Well, SAB has been working to develop the company into an international player. They've done just that. By producing 4.3 of the world's beer, they are the 4th largest beer brewer in the world. The recent success in Tanzania has drawn a lot of competition, especially from East African breweries. And the question is, how should they respond to this new competition? East African breweries has re-entered the market in Tanzania. They expect to double their market share to 30%, probably because they spent 10% of their revenue in marketing. As a response, SAB should double their marketing budget from 5% to 10% to compete, and show everybody why they love their brand so much, and remind them. SAB has had success in the past sponsoring soccer leagues and entertainment events, as well as by distributing point-of-sale branded materials, such as posters and lamps, to their retail locations. Now that the African market is starting to saturate, maintaining excellence in production will not be enough. It is time to ramp up that. Looking at the forecast of the global beer industry profits, we learn that Africa is continuing to grow at a nice rate. There are other regions that are expected to grow much faster. In Latin America, the market is expected to double, more than double. And in Asia, more than triple. And in Eastern Europe, quadruple in the next decade. We believe expansion into these markets is essential for the company's success. SAB already has some breweries in many countries in these regions, but only has the majority of the market share in Africa and in China. SAB must use their operational excellence strategy to formulate the most efficient production and distribution in order to build brand equity and keep up with the growing demands. By streamlining the process, we expect SAB to not only produce more beer, but to also lower the real price of beer by half, saving the company money to use elsewhere. In order to penetrate these markets, SAB could use some of that extra cash towards new marketing techniques and raise their budget back up to 10%. And then, along with increasing the marketing budget and venturing into new markets, SAB must have a backup plan just in case consumers try to switch their taste from beer to something else. SAB could start selling fruity alcoholic beverages as a substitute for beer. The company has tried this before and was successful in the past. By segmenting each country and manufacturing fruit drinks with specific flavors that that region likes and prefers, SAB takes the market share. It'll help SAB take the market share away from its competitors and take some of the shelf space away as well. And it'll keep the company strong just in case the demand were to switch. Now, I'm going to talk about the rationale. So in 1999, SAB produced 48 million hectoliters of beer at $69.60 per hectoliter. It's approximately $3.34 billion in total revenues. And then we recommend that they use 10% for the marketing budget, $234 million, 5% towards research and development for the fruity alcoholic line, which is approximately $167 million, and 5% for training and development of employees, which they're going to continue to do, keep their processes up to date. And then another 10% towards the expansion into new markets. That extra 10% is $334 million to go into new markets. That's approximately 8 different breweries that they could open that are about like $40 million each. And that's per year. And then that leaves them 70% left over for operations and budget, which is over $2.34 billion. And that's it.